Howdy ho, gang. Bing, 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 right? How are you guys? Which one's R2? There he is. Beep, 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 beep. And this one, hey, cut my nails, right? Cute. See? Which one's, where is he? Now, this one's growing back even a little bit. I'm not a human. All right, so, what? That's my fun-filled intro. I'm actually not going to give much of an intro. By 2 minutes in, we're reading it, and let's go with it. All right. Which one's Luke? He is. Which one's Darth? Barf. Gong, whatever. Which one's the Tauntaun? Gush. Wait a minute, I missed him. That's fun about it. That's optics for you, right, Billy D? Dun, dun, dun. All right, well, 102 and 903, and let's go. So a little setup to this one. I'm going back to Daniel. You got it. But nope, it's just for a little offshoot. And this is going to be, episode its own thing here. And this is Chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar's Second Dream. Now, we covered Chapter 2 a little bit, and we'll come back to it when we do the proper one. But I'll have one for each chapter or bit, I suppose, including the finale, which was going to be this one, but nope, I want to do this one real quick. It's kind of strange because Nebuchadnezzar actually is the author of, I'll give it to 3 minutes. Now I'm talking about it. I'll give myself a minute to set it up, right? Let's see here. So Nebuchadnezzar is obviously king of Babylon, and he has just overthrown. Hold it a little closer. Maybe the audio's better. I don't know. Maybe not. He's just overthrown, like, Jerusalem, taking captives, all the stuff. Like, same guy, same king. So it's obviously however many years later, because now he's had a second dream, right? Nebuchadnezzar the king. And now he writes a letter, and it winds up chapter 4, right, of Daniel. So let's read it. Nebuchadnezzar the king, to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth. And this is the king of Babylon, the empire of Babylon, right? The king of the kings in the day, because he's emperor. He just doesn't go by emperor, he's king, but he's got a kingdom. It's the Babylonian kingdom, and then he'll make sure even China hears about it. Because he's considerate. It's a pretty big, that's why the Persian Empire was so big so quick. Once you take over for Babylon, like, you have their turf is yours now. You just have to maintain it or whatever. So anyway, that's your setup. Nebuchadnezzar's second dream. It's a crazy story. He writes it. If you take verbatim, he writes it. He's author. He's telling you the truth. And then at the end of it, he decrees that everybody, in the whole kingdom understands something about it. Between him and Yahweh. The exact, like the Jew one. The Mideast one. The monotheist one. When we say God with a capital G as opposed to gods with a not capital ones, we know why, and we know, like, it's not out of disrespect to, like, the lesser gods or whatever, right? It's not quite that, but there is a reason why people in the past, historically, well, let's just read this and see about it. Something about pride and, like, Yahweh. Because this guy's mighty, and God even clearly likes him and has blessed him, and he knows it. He's even seen crazy stuff here once he's done with, like, overthrowing people and, like, expanding his empire. So, his kingdom, I should say. Garf. Bum, 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 bum. I like to grow. Don't do that, all right? Apologies if I look like I was upset crying, because I was. Sometimes I do that. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth. Peace be multiplied to you. I thought it good to declare the signs and wonders that the Most High God has worked for me. How great are his signs and how mighty his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in my house, and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts on my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore I issued a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known to me the interpretation of the dream. Then the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers came in, and I told them the dream. But they did not make known to me its interpretation. But at last Daniel came before me. His name is Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God. In him is the spirit of the holy God, with capital H, capital G, and even he does not capitalize the G in his singular God, because there was a God of Babylon or whatever. That's what this is about, this particular chapter. But then, a lot of the other chapters too, you know what I mean? Excuse me. So, but at last Daniel came before me. His name is Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God. In him is the spirit of the holy God. And I told the dream before him, saying, Belteshazzar, chief of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy God is in you, and no secret troubles you. Explain to me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and its interpretations. These were the visions of my head while on my bed. That has to be some kind of expression that people said when they wrote stuff down back then in Babylon. Has to be some kind of way of saying things, because Daniel writes that way, Nebuchadnezzar writes that way, and basically I don't know of too many other people that write that way. I could be wrong. Maybe there might be, but not that many. But it seems like there's definitely, I don't know. You could say, well, it's all one author. It's not, if taken verbatim, right? But it's his friend or whatever, so it makes sense. They These were the visions of my head while on my bed. Verse 10. Excuse me. I was looking, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. The tree grew and became strong. Its height reached to the heavens, and it could be seen to the ends of all the earth. Its leaves were lovely, its fruit abundant, and in it was food for all. The beasts of the field found shade under it. The birds of the heavens dwelt in its branches, and all flesh was fed from it. I saw in the visions of my head while on my bed, and there was a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven, an angel. He cried aloud and said thus, Chop down the tree and cut off its branches, strip off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the beasts get out from under it, and the birds from its branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze. In the tender grass of the field, let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let him graze with the beasts on the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from that of a man, let him be given the heart of a beast, and let 7 times pass over him. This decision is by the decree of the watchers, and the sentence by the word of the holy ones, in order that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, gives it to whomever he will, and sets over it the lowest of men. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now you, Belteshazzar, declare its interpretation, since all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known to me the interpretation. But you are able, for the Spirit of the Holy God is in you. Dude already knows all about it. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for a time, and his thoughts troubled him. So the king spoke and said, Belteshazzar, do not let the dream or its interpretation trouble you. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, may the dream concern those who hate you, and its interpretation concern your enemies. That's not good when it starts that way. All right, let's keep reading. The tree that you saw, which grew and became strong, whose height reached to the heavens, and which could be seen by all the earth, whose leaves were lovely, and its fruits abundant, in which was food for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and in whose branches the birds of the heaven had their home. It is you, O king, who have grown and become strong, for your greatness has grown and reaches to the heavens, and your dominion to the end of the earth. And inasmuch as the king saw a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven and saying, Chop down the tree and destroy it, but leave its stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze, and the tender grass of the field, let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let him graze with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king. And this is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon my lord the king. They shall drive you from men. Your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make you eat grass like oxen. They shall wet you with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over you, till you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and gives it to whomever he chooses. And inasmuch as they gave the command to leave the stump and roots of the tree, your kingdom shall be assured to you, after you come to know that heaven rules. Therefore, O king, let my advice be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by being righteous, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the poor. Perhaps there may be a lengthening of your prosperity. What else can he say? That's what he says. That's his full response. What else can he say if he knows he's screwed, right? He said, let my advice be acceptable to you. Break off your sins. Be righteous, right? Iniquities, mercy to the poor. He's saying he knows how to kiss Yahweh's butt, right? I mean, like, he's saying, well, if you're asking me about the Holy One, right? Anyway, then this is verse 28, getting towards the end. All this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of the 12 months, he was walking about the royal palace of Babylon. So about a year goes by. The king spoke, saying, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was still in the king's mouth, a voice fell from heaven. A voice fell from heaven. King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you, and they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make you eat grass like oxen, and 7 times shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and gives it to whomever he chooses. Yahweh, Yahweh. That very hour the word was fulfilled concerning Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from men, and ate grass like oxen. His body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair had grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. Yikes. And at the end of the time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. And I blessed the Most High, and praised and honored him who lives forever. Even though he just got done being tricked with, like, he's under some jitsu or something, right? And he's reduced to the level of dumb beast or something. Anyway, for his dominion, and at the end of the time, verse 34, this last bit. And at the end of the time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. And I blessed the Most High, and praised and honored him, who lives forever. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. He does according to his will in the army of heaven, and among the inhabitants of the earth, both. No one can restrain his hand or say to him, "What have you done?" Because he's the Most High. God of the gods, as Nebuchadnezzar puts it. Because he's trying to be political. At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. Once he realizes this, has this epiphany, and thanks God. He loves him again. He's humble. Nope, you're right. I am not like the king that answers to no one. You are. He just needs to understand pecking order. He understands other kings answer to him, but he still has to answer to God. He understands it. At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. What profit is it to go against God, who's like playing the long? He's in it for the long haul. You heard? Not you people. My counselors and nobles restored to me. I was restored to my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all of whose works are truth, and his ways justice, and those who walk in pride he is able to put down. That's it. So I'll read that last bit again. At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. My counselors and nobles resorted to me, and I was restored to my kingdom. So they resorted to it. In other words, they took care of him, pampered him. I read it wrong the first time. At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. My counselors and nobles resorted to me. I was restored to my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all of whose works are truth and his ways justice. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all of whose works are truth, and his ways justice. And those who walk in pride, he is able to put down. So though a secular king and a polytheist or whatever, right? He figured it out. He even had it figured out. But then, so anyway, that's the lesson. All right, well, have a good day, and don't worry about me. I'm sad, but that's all right. I get over it. It's just the world situation, you know? It's less like, you know, you say it's not the crime, but it's the cover-up. The problem is it's not so much like, right, the petty theft or whatever, or even the cover-up. It's like the people would want to do that. Scam artists. Why would you want to, bigger picture stuff in the country? Like with these anonymous, club. With the keyboards and they're crazy. And they know nothing, and but then they'll shop with you for shoes or something. I don't know. Anyway, God bless everyone. I get certain people. We're not monolithic here. Wait a minute. I get. Wait a minute. In terms of dirtbag, even I'm not so high up on the good list, right? But I get that. But despite that, but the treasonous. But then even lower than treasonous, you got well, in what ways, right? Did you just you don't care about free speech for a while because you're covering something up, you're so Breaking Bad here? Well, Orgyville or whatever they sucker you in with? But really, but in terms of whatever you did, right? surely the sins of society far outweigh whatever like a little reek like you did, and a lesser reek in terms of the greater reek Leviathan Hydra Hitler thing, right? That's nicer. But like, because Paul and Leviathan and all the crap or whatever, and it's Paul that kills him or whatever. Everything, like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't, like, the Jews get there's just one God, and this crazy stuff they're showing, well, right, boss or whatever, from back in the day, like, when it's the one thing or whatever, but, like, they don't, like, they found Israel on two calves. What, like, the northern, like, Israel, when it, like, secedes and just, like, becomes its own kingdom now. And then, like, there's Judah, right, which isn't that much better, and in time, like, even surpasses, like, Samaria in terms of, like, how evil Jerusalem's gonna be, like, Judah, by proxy. Because, like, it's a snare to them. That's why they are, factually speaking, back in the day, there was a big issue. Did you know Jews, like, they, like, at one point, because it's such a problem around the region, for whatever reason, the Holy Land, but, like, right around it, right? And even right in it, right? Like, so they can't marry those people. They can marry, like, Ishmaelites. They can even marry, like, they're not allowed to marry anyone who, like, has a foreign god and worships a foreign god. That's why, I mean, even Ruth was Moabite, but she, like, didn't do that. She did Jewish stuff. She, like, converted. That's fine. But, like, they're not supposed to take, like, the foreign wives or even the foreign husbands. But, like, then they come in, like, suave and, like, kind of looking like the Ishmaelite, but they don't worship the one, like, thing or whatever. That, as long as, like, they understand, like, just Yahweh, right? Because it's monotheism. It's even pre, like, Jesus, so no one knows about Jesus. They know angel of the Lord, but, like, and something going to fulfill something later, but, like, anyway, depends on which point in time you jump in. But it's interesting, but that's what made me sad, all right? It's just thinking about certain things, unfair things, not only, like, so much for myself, but also just, like, now, like, when you think about, like, look what's become of the news and the sophisticates who are supposed to, like, we all, like, no one love or whatever, but then, like, it seems like there's like, and nothing else to that sex island. And, like, some of those records were sealed, actually. Like, why weren't they all, like, pursued doggedly or what? But it just seems like with that Giselle Maxwell / the other guy, Epstein, and, like, he died under, like, very suspicious circumstances. One's got to say, convenient with the cameras cutting out and all that. But, like, whatever it is, I just mean, like, I'm saying, like, between that and, like, they go out of their way for nothing to see here when, like, big tech and journalists alike are, like, lying through teeth about certain things, which is not free speech once. That's called, like, I don't know, like American heresy or whatever. It's just disgraceful, and you should just knock it off and we can get over it. Give kids some, like, public venue to, like, blog about it instead of, like, the greater good, bugly boom, we're gonna, like, tricks you on the dark web or whatever. Everybody sort of knows about it. It's more an apologist site to explain to you why it's good that you don't have free speech except for this venue. Like, talk about it. And never once on TV or whatever. You're now like little ninja spies. Remember how we made you sign the contract when you were like 5 to, like, be a good little American or whatever, right? Uncle Sam or, like, Mickey or someone, like, gives it to you or something. And yeah, and they really, like, I don't know, like, they're crazy or something. I don't know, like, like, it's just, like, only if it's the fun programming or whatever, we would thank the guy. I don't know, like, what about he'll love this one? But now it seems like the entertainment is, like, they probably would help me if it was all things just that, but, like, that would lead to questions about far more, like, Yazidis books, you know what I mean? Anyway, you better, like, do something quick with, like, coming clean about, like, what... like, with this club that they don't talk about, and, like, how, like, it seems like a creative, like, fantastical just from my imagination, but yet he even is telling you, well, there's, like, the intro where, well, I interviewed the CIA or whatever, like, I know he knows, like, some of those, like, Mockingbird Project people, right? He's even sort of saying, like, but, I mean, like, I don't know. fooled you or whatever. But I'm like, the funny phone call pranks, right? It's like, I think one had figured that out or whatever. Even other people didn't like that about it. But like, do, right? Have a good night.